I stood alone in the empty parking lot, staring at the resort building where my family was supposed to be. 5 hours of driving from Denver and not a single car I recognized. The place was silent. I had spent an entire year saving for this reunion. I wanted us to be a family again after so many years apart, but no one answered my calls for 2 days. I did not know then that my silence that night would become the thing they regretted most. Before we begin, let me know in the comments where you are watching from today. If you have ever felt like an outsider in your own family, hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. And if you believe that blood does not always mean loyalty, stay with me until the very end of this story. My name is Zita, and I am 32 years old. I work as a software engineer in Denver, Colorado. It is a good job, stable income, benefits, the whole package. But getting here was not easy. Nothing in my life has ever been easy. My father passed away when I was 14. Heart attack. One moment he was there, the next he was gone. After that, everything changed. My mother, Dolores, had to work 2 jobs just to keep the lights on. I was the second of 4 children, stuck right in the middle, and somehow that position made me invisible and indispensable at the same time. I started working at 15, bagging groceries, mowing lawns, anything I could find. While my older brother, Marcus, complained about not having the latest sneakers, I was handing half my paycheck to my mother for bills. While my younger sister, Stacy, went to prom in a new dress, I wore the same 3 shirts to school for 2 years straight. While my youngest brother, Kevin, played video games all afternoon, I was studying at the kitchen table until midnight because I knew education was my only way out. And I did get out. I was the only one in my family to finish college. I worked full-time while carrying a full course load, graduated with honors, and landed a job that paid more than anyone in my family had ever earned. I thought they would be proud of me. I thought wrong. The moment I started making decent money, I became the family bank. Not the family success story, not the one who made it, just the one with the checkbook. My mother called me when Marcus needed help with his rent in Texas. She called me when Stacy needed money for her car repair. She called me when Kevin needed cash for some business idea that never went anywhere. But she never called just to ask how I was doing. She never called to say she was proud of me. She never called to say she loved me. Marcus, my older brother, resented me from the day I got my first real paycheck. He started calling me the rich boy, always with that bitter edge in his voice. Every family gathering became an opportunity for him to make snide comments about my clothes, my car, my apartment. He acted like I had been handed everything on a silver platter, as if he had not watched me struggle through every single day of my 20s. Stacy was different, but not better. She was sweet when she needed something. She would call me with that soft voice, telling me about some emergency, some unexpected expense, some situation that only money could solve. I lent her thousands over the years. She never paid back a single dollar. When I once reminded her about a loan, she told our mother I was being materialistic and petty. Somehow, I ended up apologizing. Kevin was simply absent. He never finished anything he started. Dropped out of community college, quit every job within months, and eventually just moved back in with our mother. He contributed nothing but always had opinions about how I should spend my money. Whenever I visited, he would make comments about what I should buy for the house for mom for him. And my mother, Dolores, she was the center of it all. She enabled everything. In her eyes, Marcus was just misunderstood. Stacy was just going through hard times, and Kevin just needed more time to find himself. But me, I was the one with means. I was the one who should help. And every time I hesitated, every time I could not give as much as they wanted, she had a way of making me feel like the worst son in the world. She would sigh deeply and say something like, "I sacrificed everything to raise you kids alone, and this is how you repay me." So I kept giving. I kept sacrificing. I kept hoping that one day they would see me as more than just a source of money. I kept hoping they would see me as family. That hope is what led me to plan the reunion. Our family had not been together, all of us in one place, for 7 years, not since my grandmother passed away. I thought maybe if I created the opportunity, if I made it easy and beautiful and perfect, something would change. Maybe we would finally feel like a real family. I suggested it on the occasion of my mother turning 60. I offered to pay for everything. I would rent a resort in the mountains 3 days and 2 nights, all expenses covered. I would fly Marcus in from Texas. I would handle the food, the rooms, the activities, everything. All they had to do was show up. The total cost was $12,000. It was my entire savings outside of my emergency fund. But I did not care. I spent 3 months planning every detail. I chose the menu myself, made sure there were options everyone would like. I arranged the rooms so everyone had privacy. I even planned a small surprise party for my mother on the second night, complete with her favorite cake. I was so hopeful. I was so naive. The week before the reunion, I sent a message to the family group chat confirming all the details. The date, the time, the address, everything they needed to know. I asked everyone to confirm they received it. My mother replied with a single word. Okay. That was it. No excitement, no thank you, no acknowledgement of the effort I had put in. Just okay. I called Marcus to double-check his flight information. He answered but sounded distracted. He said he was busy and would call me back later. He never called back. I tried again the next day. No answer. I left a voicemail. No response. I texted Stacy asking if she needed me to pick her up from anywhere. She read the message. I saw the little indicator that showed she had seen it, but she did not reply. Not that day, not the next day, not ever. Kevin's phone went straight to voicemail every time I tried. I told myself his phone was probably dead or disconnected again. It would not have been the first time. I pushed down the anxiety building in my chest. I told myself they were probably just busy preparing for the trip. Maybe they wanted to surprise me with something. Maybe they were planning a thank you gift. I had spent 32 years learning to make excuses for this family. Old habits die hard. On the day I was supposed to leave, I woke up early. I packed my car carefully. I had bought a gift for my mother, a silk scarf she had mentioned wanting months ago. I wrapped it myself in gold paper with a blue ribbon, her favorite colors. I placed it gently on the passenger seat where I could see it during the drive. The drive from Denver to the resort was 5 hours through beautiful mountain roads. I tried calling during the trip whenever I had signal. No one answered. Not my mother, not Marcus, not Stacy, not Kevin. 4 people, 0 responses. But the mountain roads often had poor reception, so I convinced myself that was the reason. They were probably already at the resort, settling in, waiting for me. I stopped once to buy gas and stretch my legs. I stood outside my car looking at the mountains, feeling something I had not felt in a long time. Hope. Real, genuine hope that this weekend would change everything. I arrived at the resort at 3:15 in the afternoon, exactly when I had planned. But the parking lot was nearly empty. I did not see Marcus's rental car. I did not see Stacy's sedan. I did not see the van Kevin said he would borrow from a friend. The silence hit me first. A family reunion should have noise, laughter, people greeting each other in the lobby. But there was nothing. Just mountain wind and the sound of my own footsteps on the pavement. I walked into the reception area, my heart beating faster than I wanted to admit. The woman at the front desk looked up and smiled. I gave her my name and asked about my reservation, about my family. She typed something into her computer. Then her expression shifted to confusion. She looked at me with apologetic eyes. "Sir," she said, "your party checked out this morning." I did not understand the words at first. Checked out? That made no sense. The reunion was supposed to start today. We were supposed to have 3 days together. She turned her monitor slightly so I could see. According to her records, my family had checked in on Wednesday. They had stayed Wednesday and Thursday night. They had checked out Friday morning, just hours before I arrived. They had held the reunion without me, 2 days early. The entire event I had planned and paid for, and they had moved it to exclude me. My hands were shaking when I pulled out my phone. I dialed my mother's number. It rang 4 times before she answered. The first thing I heard was laughter. Multiple voices all talking at once, the unmistakable sound of a party still going on somewhere. Then my mother's voice, cheerful and light, as if nothing in the world was wrong. "Oh, Zita," she said. "You made it there." "The reunion was yesterday, honey. It is already over. We had such a wonderful time. I thought someone told you about the change." I could hear Marcus laughing in the background. Not at a joke, at me. My mother continued talking, her voice so casual it made my stomach turn. She said it was a shame I missed it, but not to worry. She would bring me some leftovers. There was still half a birthday cake left. She would save me a piece. I could not speak. There were no words for what I was feeling. Betrayal does not begin to cover it. Devastation comes close, but still falls short. "Hello," my mother said. "Zita, are you still there?" Well, just drive home safe. Okay, honey. She hung up. Just like that. No apology, no explanation, no acknowledgement that they had deliberately excluded me from an event I had spent a year planning and $12,000 financing. I stood in that resort lobby for a long time. The receptionist pretended not to notice. I stared at my phone at the call log showing the connection had ended at the timestamp, proving this was real. This was actually happening. They had not forgotten to tell me. They had chosen not to tell me. Every single one of them had made a decision to leave me out. I did not drive home that night. I could not. My hands would not stop trembling, and the thought of 5 hours alone in a car with nothing but my thoughts terrified me more than staying. I booked a room at the same resort. It felt absurd paying even more money to sleep in the place where my family had just celebrated without me. But I needed time. I needed to think. I needed to not be behind a wheel. The room was nice. King-size bed, mountain view, the kind of luxury I had wanted my family to enjoy. I sat on the edge of the mattress and stared at the wall for what felt like hours. I did not cry. I wanted to, but the tears would not come. It was like my body had gone numb, protecting itself from feeling too much at once. I started going through old messages on my phone. Not to torture myself, though it felt that way. I needed to understand. I needed to see the pattern I had been blind to for so long. And I found it. Every text from my mother for the past 2 years, every single one was either asking for money or asking me to send money to someone else. There was not a single message that just said hello. Not one that asked about my health, my work, my life. Not one that told me she was thinking of me or that she loved me. The same was true for Marcus, for Stacy, for Kevin. Our entire relationship existed only when they needed something from me. The moment I served my purpose, I disappeared from their consciousness until the next time I was useful. I lay back on the bed and stared at the ceiling. The question kept circling in my mind. What did I do wrong? What was so fundamentally flawed about me that my own family could treat me this way? I did not sleep much that night. When I did, I dreamed of the family reunion I was supposed to have. Everyone laughing. My mother opening her gift. Marcus actually having a real conversation with me, Stacy, thanking me sincerely. Kevin being present and engaged. A fantasy that had never been possible. I woke up early the next morning around 6:30. I checked my phone out of habit. And that is when I saw the notification that changed everything. It was an alert from my bank. My credit card had been charged $3,000 at a jewelry store in Dallas, Texas. I had not been to Texas in over a year. I had not purchased any jewelry ever. I sat up straight, suddenly very awake. I opened my banking app and started scrolling through recent transactions. Another charge $2,000 at a spa yesterday. Another charge $1,500 at a high-end restaurant also yesterday. My heart was pounding now, but not from sadness anymore. This was something else. This was the cold, sharp feeling of betrayal taking on a concrete form. I kept scrolling back through the months. There were charges I had dismissed as small errors, things I meant to look into but never did. $100 here, $200 there, small enough to seem like mistakes, frequent enough to add up. When I calculated the total, my hands started shaking again. Over the past 6 months, someone had charged more than $9,000 to my card. Then I remembered. Last year, my mother had called about an emergency. She needed to book last-minute flights for the whole family because someone was sick, a cousin I barely knew. She asked for my card information just temporarily, just to help out. And I gave it to her. Because I always gave her what she asked for. I never changed the card. I never asked for the information back. I trusted her. The jewelry store charge was in Texas, where Marcus lives. The spa and restaurant charges were local in the same area where my family had just celebrated their reunion, the reunion I paid for, using even more of my money. I sat in that hotel room looking at the evidence on my phone, and I made a decision. For the first time in my life, I was not going to call them and ask for an explanation. I was not going to give them a chance to gaslight me, to make excuses, to turn it around, and somehow make me feel guilty. I was done being the one who always tried to understand. I called my bank first. I reported the card as compromised, used without my authorization. The representative on the phone was professional and sympathetic. She said they would investigate, but I would need to file a police report to support any fraud claim. So that is what I did. I drove to the local police station and filed a report. I brought my phone, showed them the charges, showed them proof that I was in Colorado when transactions were happening in Texas and elsewhere. I gave them all the information they needed. The officer asked me if I had any idea who might have done this. I told him I had given my card information to a family member last year. I did not ask for special treatment. I did not ask them to go easy on anyone. I just reported the facts. They said they would investigate. I drove home to Denver that afternoon. 5 hours of silence, but different this time. I was not sad. I was not confused. For the first time in years, my mind was clear. The next morning, I received a phone call from a detective. They had followed up on the charges, contacted the jewelry store and the other businesses. Security cameras had captured the people using my card. It was Marcus. It was Stacy. My own brother and sister on video using my credit card to fund their lives while pretending I did not exist. The police acted quickly after that, because it was not just one charge. It was months of systematic fraud totaling thousands of dollars. This was not a misunderstanding. This was a felony. Officers arrived at my mother's house on Monday morning. The whole family was still there, apparently extending their celebration. Marcus was handcuffed in the living room in front of everyone. Stacy was taken in for questioning as an accomplice. My mother called me an hour later. Her voice was nothing like the cheerful tone from 3 days ago. She was crying, screaming, her words barely coherent. "What did you do?" she demanded. "Why did you call the police on your own brother? How could you do this to our family?" I let her finish. Then I said the only thing that needed to be said. I did not call the police on anyone. I reported my credit card stolen. The police found out who stole it on their own. I ended the call. Then I blocked her number. I blocked Marcus. I blocked Stacy. I blocked Kevin. I blocked every family member who might try to reach me on their behalf. For the first time in 32 years, I chose myself. The legal process took several months. Marcus was charged with credit card fraud, a felony that carried the possibility of real prison time. Stacy was charged as an accomplice since she had personally used the card at the spa and restaurant. Both of them tried to claim it was a misunderstanding, that they thought I had given permission. The security footage and the pattern of hidden charges over 6 months made that defense impossible. The bank completed their investigation and refunded every unauthorized transaction. $12,000 returned to my account over the following weeks. Money I had earned, money they had stolen, finally back where it belonged. My mother tried to reach me through every channel she could think of. She left voicemails I never listened to. She sent letters I threw away unopened. She had relatives call me people I had not spoken to in years, all delivering the same message. Family is family. You cannot do this to your own blood. What kind of son turns his mother's children over to the police? But some of those relatives surprised me. My aunt, my mother's younger sister, the one who always sent me birthday cards when I was a kid, she called too. But her message was different. "You did the right thing," she said. "I have watched my sister and her children take advantage of you for years. I never said anything because I did not want to cause trouble. But you deserved better, Zita. You always have." Her words meant more to me than she will ever know. In a sea of condemnation, one voice of understanding can save you from drowning. The healing did not happen quickly. For weeks after everything settled, I second-guessed myself constantly. Was I too harsh? Should I have just confronted them privately? Did I destroy my family over money? I started seeing a therapist. Not because I thought I was crazy, but because I needed someone objective to help me understand what I was feeling. What she helped me realize changed my life. She told me I was not cruel. I was not vindictive. I was a person who had finally, after decades of being used, established a boundary. The fraud was just the final straw, the undeniable proof that my family did not see me as a person. They saw me as a resource, and when I stopped being useful to them, they simply excluded me. She helped me understand the difference between family and people who share your blood. Family supports you. Family respects you. Family values you for who you are, not what you can provide. The people I grew up with, they were relatives, but they had never truly been family. That distinction freed something inside me. I stopped feeling guilty. I stopped wondering what I could have done differently. I started focusing on building an actual support system, people who cared about me as a person. I reconnected with old friends I had neglected during years of being consumed by family obligations. I joined a hiking group and met people who shared my interests. I volunteered at a local youth center, mentoring kids who reminded me of myself at that age, kids who needed someone to believe in them. I am not going to pretend the pain disappeared completely. Some nights I still think about what a real family reunion might have felt like. I wonder if my mother ever truly loved me or just the things I could provide. I wonder if there will ever be reconciliation, if any of them will ever genuinely understand what they did wrong. But I have made peace with not knowing those answers. Some questions do not need resolution. Some wounds heal better when you stop picking at them. The biggest lesson I learned through all of this is simple, but took me 32 years to understand. Love is not measured by how much you sacrifice. It is measured by how much respect you receive in return. I gave everything to a family that gave nothing back, and all it earned me was an empty parking lot and a voicemail about leftover cake. Silence is not always weakness. Sometimes silence is the space where action speaks louder than any words ever could. I did not argue with my mother on that phone call. I did not yell at my siblings. I simply reported a crime and let the truth do the rest. My silence was not acceptance. It was the calm before the storm they created themselves. Forgiveness is not the same as permission. I can forgive them someday, maybe. I can release the anger and the hurt and the bitterness. But forgiveness does not mean I have to let them back into my life. It does not mean I have to give them another chance to hurt me. Forgiving someone and protecting yourself from them can happen at the same time. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is choose yourself when everyone expects you to keep choosing them. I do not know what the future holds for my relationships with my mother, my siblings, any of them. Maybe years from now something will change. Maybe it will not. But for the first time in my life, I am not waiting for their approval. I am not hoping for their love. I am not sacrificing my peace for their convenience. I am building a life that includes people who actually want me in it. And that more than any reunion could ever provide feels like home. So if you are watching this and you have ever been the one your family only calls when they need something, I want you to know that you are not alone. If you have ever wondered why your sacrifices never seem to be enough, I understand. And if you are struggling with the impossible choice between your own well-being and the expectations of people who share your blood, please hear me when I say this. You are allowed to walk away. You are allowed to set boundaries. You are allowed to stop setting yourself on fire to keep others warm. That is not selfish. That is survival. I do not know if my decision was the right one, but I know this for certain. It was the first time I asked myself what I deserve. And finally, after 32 years, I had an answer. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to make a difficult choice between your own peace and your family's expectations? What happened? Leave a comment below and share your story. Your experience might help someone else who is going through the same thing right now. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to this channel for more real-life stories about resilience, boundaries, and finding your own path forward. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Whatever you are facing in your own life, I hope you find the strength to choose yourself when you need to. Take care of your heart. It is the only one you have.